When the mission competes with life, a leadership reflection on U3 engagement. A pastoral word to our leaders. This reflection isn't intended to correct anyone. It aims to clarify what we're carrying together. Leadership seasons change and life pressures increase. Sometimes, without realizing it, the mission begins to compete with life instead of being carried by it. This document is intended to help us see clearly together. Important clarification. Who are U3? U3 are neutral, unchurched. They are not resistant to the gospel. They did not leave church feeling angry or wounded. They drifted quietly as life became busy, careers expanded, families demanded more, and relationships faded. They are spiritually open but relationally disconnected. U3 don't need convincing, they need connection. Our current reality at Exalted Word. The church calendar isn't full. Core members are present but not deeply engaged. Services continue, but momentum feels inconsistent. U3 attend occasionally but do not connect relationally. There is movement but not alignment. As the leadership of Exalted Word, we must clearly acknowledge the tension. Many leaders are busy. Mental energy is often consumed by work pressures, family responsibilities, financial strain, and emotional fatigue. Consequently, leaders are physically present, but mentally distracted and missionally unavailable. This is not rebellion, it's life pressure. The mission isn't rejected, it's crowded out. The invisible cost manifests as a noticeable absence. Genuine relationships with newcomers are exceptionally rare. While we may observe guests and some existing members, there's a concerning lack of proactive engagement and intentional connection building to foster their belonging and continued involvement. Frankly, the church's purpose rarely occupies our thoughts during the week. Engagement diminishes subtly. There's no discussion. People simply drift away. The pastor increasingly carries the vision alone, builds relationships leaders lack the capacity for, follows up where no pathway exists, and absorbs emotional and relational weight, not because leaders don't care, but because there is no shared pathway. When attention is fragmented, responsibility defaults upward. What this is not laziness, not lack of faith, not unwillingness, not absence of love. This is a structure problem, not a heart problem. The gap we must acknowledge. Without a clear U3 pathway, engagement depends on personal energy. Relationships are accidental, not intentional. Leaders default inward. The U3 drift again, not from unbelief, but neglect. Good intentions cannot replace clear pathways. Why this matters as we move toward 2026. A pathway protects the mission when life is heavy, shares relational responsibility, reduces guilt and confusion, turns intention into action. This is not about doing more, it is about doing what matters, on purpose. A final pastoral reflection. No one is failing, but without structure, the mission is unprotected. Awareness comes before alignment. Alignment comes before growth. This reflection is the beginning of a conversation, not the end of one. Next. In the next step, we will begin outlining a U3 pathway for 2026, a shared relational structure that allows us to reach new people without adding unnecessary burden to already busy lives. Leadership reflection questions. When the mission competes with life. Personal awareness. Where is most of my mental energy going right now? Work, family, survival, or mission? When I think about church during the week, what usually comes to mind? Purpose or pressure? In this season, am I present in role but distant in focus? Bandwidth and priority. What currently consumes the majority of my emotional and mental bandwidth? What activities drain me the most and which give me life? If nothing changed, what would my level of engagement realistically look like 6 months from now? Understanding U3. When was the last time I built a genuine relationship with someone new to the church? Do I tend to assume new people will find their way? Or do I feel responsible for connection? If I were a U3 today, What would make me feel safe enough to stay? Structure versus intention. Where are we relying on good intentions instead of clear pathways? What currently depends too much on the pastor instead of shared leadership? What would become possible if responsibility for connection was clearly defined? Ownership and alignment. What role do I believe leaders should play in helping you three move from attendance to belonging? Where have I unintentionally defaulted inward because life felt heavy? What kind of structure would help me engage without adding pressure? Readiness for a pathway. What support would help me show up relationally in a sustainable way? What would make engagement feel clear instead of overwhelming? Am I willing to grow into a shared pathway if it protects both the mission and my capacity? Closing reflection. What is one honest adjustment God may be inviting me to make in this season? What does faithfulness look like now, not in a previous season of my life? How can structure serve obedience rather than replace it? Final statement. These questions are not about guilt. They are about clarity. Clarity creates alignment. Alignment protects the mission.